Without security, there can't be any meaningful development. We are all enjoying to ensure that all threats to lives are reported to the law enforcement agencies. Welcome to your program today. Today is another exciting day when we bring you your program, Security Watch Africa. My name is Patrick Abambo. Today, like you can see, I'm still putting on the face mask. We are expected to ensure that we observe all protocols to ensure that we do not spread the virus for the sake of our loved ones and ourselves. We must make sure we comply to the necessary protocols as prescribed by the WHO, the World Health Organization. Welcome to your program. Today, really, there are a lot of things that troubles the society, particularly here in Nigeria. We'll just go straight to southeast and south-south. What is happening over there is quite troubling. Just 2 days ago, in Olu precisely, when some of these IPOP ECM members hijacked some vehicles to aid their attempt to attack police formation, particularly the area command and the police station in Olu there. But luckily for Nigerians, the security agencies, particularly the police there, rose up to defend their station while the Nigerian Army and Air Force personnel came to help situation. Sadly, because these are Nigerians, but even though they chose the path of destruction, so many of them were killed in that incident. And they didn't stop there. They moved to Anambra, Obosi particularly, where the police station there was burnt down. Luckily, again, on the screen, those are images that doesn't speak well, of the dead young Nigerians. These are able young Nigerians that should contribute to the socio-economic development of the country, but sadly, they chose the path of destruction and they met their Waterloo. Nobody's happy about that. In Obosi, they burned down the police station. Luckily, so far, no life has been reported dead there in that city, but everything was destroyed. In fact, what is happening is seeing the Nigerian police flag on the floor, trampled upon and all that. Is so sad. And not stopping in Anambra, they decided to wreak their havoc yesterday night in Rivers State. It's so sad. At the end, about 7 police officers were killed. Many vehicles destroyed, arms scattered away. How long will this continue? Security Watch Africa will want to add that the implication of this is actually far-reaching, and we hope that the elders and leaders of Southeast and South will call these boys to order so that there can be peace. Because if the security agencies decide to rise up to do the needful, the people will cry. And we don't want that to happen. So please, the elders, both political elders, leaders, community leaders, whoever that is in the south and southeast should call these boys to order. It doesn't help anybody what they are doing. Away from that, because time will not permit me to talk about some of the issues, the implication of what is happening in that place. We wish we have enough time so that we can analyze it. If the elders do not know what is happening, they must know and stop it. Yes, as part of finding solution to the incessant post-traumatic stress disorder experienced by military personnel after being relieved from the war zone, the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, the Barrister Mrs. Victoria Anwulika Irabo, decided to start a project that will help to ameliorate the sufferings of these officers and soldiers. She visited the Chief of Army Staff. Sit back as we bring you this report by Shuli Daniels.
Concerned by the increasing numbers of reported cases of some military personnel abusing their spouses as a result of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, the new president of Defense and Police Wives Association, DAPOA, Barrister Anwuli Irabo, has picked up the issue as a pet project. To actualize this, Barrister Irabo, leading wives of other service chiefs, has variously visited heads of the three arms of the armed forces of Nigeria. Recently, she led the executive of DAPOA to visit the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, in Abuja. While briefing the Army Chief on the reason of their visit, the DAPOA president expressed the seriousness of post-traumatic stress disorder in the Nigerian military.
In the process of research, we found that in the last decade, Nigeria has gone through security challenges and insurgency in different zones of the country. Officers and men have been deployed over the years to address these challenges to ensure peace and security is restored in the country. As wives of these officers, what we see and hear show that experiences of many of these officers and men cannot be quantified. They leave these combat zones with physical injuries and suppressed emotional trauma built from experiences in the field. These experiences going unchecked have led to damning consequences in our military community. One of the major issues raised from the analysis of feedback from women across the country is the distinct behavioral traits such as nightmares, anxiety, insomnia, burst of anger, etc., not synonymous with their character before deployment. In consultations with medical personnel, we are made to understand that these behavioral changes are triggered in response to trauma. As such, is an expression of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Barrister Angule solicited for the support of the Nigerian Army leadership in the drive to checkmate the effect of post-traumatic stress disorder.
In line with the current DAPOA President's Program, UOVF, we intend to collaborate with the Chief of Army Staff to provide solution through the root cause analysis by uniting our voices. It is our desire to have a reintegration structure for our officers and husbands to ensure that they return to us in good health and total wellness.
Responding, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, commended DAPOA for their initiative and pledged to support the project.
Your programs, especially that have been channeled towards ameliorating problems that bother on healthy living and improved lifestyle, have come at the most opportune time. And I believe all the services will stand to support all you stand for.
Those who accompany Barrister Irabo includes the National President of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, Mrs. Feti Attahiru, National President, Naval Officers' Wives Association, Hajia Nana Aisha Gambo, and the National President, Nigerian Air Force Wives Association, Mrs. Elizabeth Amo, among others. Shirley Daniels, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yeah, we'll move to the Nigeria Police Force in the quest to ensure that its officers are updated with latest technique in leadership. The Nigerian Police Force set up the National Institute for Police Studies. Yesterday, these initial 40 Assistant Commissioners of Police graduated from the school. Sit back as we bring you this report by Peggy Agbe.
After an intensive 8-week course, 40 Assistant Commissioners of Police, drawn from different police commands and formation nationwide, this Friday graduated from the National Institute of Police Studies in Abuja. At the graduation ceremony, which was attended by critical police stakeholders, the Inspector General of Police, Acting IGP Usman Al-Khalibaba, who was represented by Deputy Inspector General in charge of Information and Communication Technology, DIG David Fulawion, said that policing is an ever-changing field that evolves with society.
Policing is an ever-changing field that evolves with society, and as such we must recognize that training and development programs are crucial to meeting the development needs of Nigeria and the development needs of the officers. Crime is getting more complex. Officers are charged with enforcing laws, and they must be open to new and constantly evolving leadership challenges.
While congratulating the graduates, the IGP stated that he believes they have been exposed to the best standard in policing education and strategic leadership tools.
I believe that you have been exposed to the best standard in policing education and provided with necessary strategic leadership tools that will no doubt assist you to satisfactorily carry out your next assignments.
The Director General of the Institute, Professor Olu Ogunshokin, in his welcome remark, says that the course participants demonstrated their willingness to learn a good working knowledge of police culture.
Over the last 8 weeks, the course participants have demonstrated to us that you have a good working knowledge of police culture, the boundaries, how to break out of them and redefine them, that you are individuals committed to each other, to social change and to police reform.
Speaking on behalf of class of the Strategic Leadership and Command course, SLCC2 2021, who were just graduating, ACP Olasoji Akimbayo thanked police leadership for the privilege and promised, on behalf of his coursemate, to add value to policing.
To all the Inspector General of Police who came to add value to our life, we say thank you. To the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Baba Alkali, PSC, NPM, FDC, who gave the opportunity to us to participate in this noble cause. We all say thank you.
At the end of the ceremony, Security Watch Africa spoke with the representative of the IGP and the DG of the Institute.
The vision is, in a way, to look and fill the gap, and that knowledge gap that exists between the police and the community. And we are concentrating solely on leadership, because you can have all the resources you need. If you don't have a good leader, it will not work. Yet you might have the resources, and if you have the good leadership, then it will work. So our job is to build and fill the gap that is missing in police education.
This probably is the first management team that is lucky to have an institute to work by right from the time of inauguration. And now we will be fulfilling our purposes, promoting, elevating people at their time and giving them requisite knowledge by exposure to this school.
With the knowledge gathered in the 8 weeks course, it is expected that these police officers would help to find solutions to insecurity in Nigeria. Peggy Agbe, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yeah, congratulations to the graduates, and we pray and hope that the knowledge gathered will be imparted in their assignment, national assignment to provide security for Nigeria. Still on national security, one agency of the, one arm of the national security is the Immigration Service. The Nigerian Immigration Service under the CGI Babandede have been reforming the processes of ensuring that unwanted Nigerians do not come into the country, unwanted persons do not come into the country. And so Security Watch Africa decided to have an interview with him to find out what is happening with the Nigeria Immigration Service. Sit back as we bring you this interview. The immigration you met and the immigration that Immigration Service Nigeria have now, what are the differences?
I must commend my predecessors first, because they established the foundation for me to make this impact. They also trained me. They did little they can their own way. But unfortunately, when I came on board, I found out an institution that had no direction, that had no clear vision, that has no clear leadership, I'm sorry to say. So we did a retreat 2016 in Kano, where we developed a strategic roadmap for NIS 2016 to 2019. And in that strategy, we developed what we can do in terms of personnel, infrastructure, policy changes, and today it is something else. Because when it expressed in 2019, we took one of the problems and developed it as another strategy. We took border management strategy 2019 to 2023, which is being implemented. So I'm telling you, it's not by accident. We sat down and planned. If you want to be a leader, you must sit down and look at the issues and develop a strategy. Strategy is not a guess thinking, it's a science. So our success is based on science, and we are doing well in that.
Yeah. Looking at following what you have done and what you have been preaching all along, and you have always insisted that the Nigerian Immigration Service, like every other immigration service all over the world, play a leading role in internal security. And we can see you making sure that the security challenge Nigeria is facing today, there's need to streamline the activities of Nigerians. Let's look at what role has the Nigerian Immigration Service played so far in internal security situation.
When you talk of internal security, I would like for us to look at the people who will even enter the territory first. What have we done our duty is to at least filter so that the right people who Nigeria needs enter this country. We have done a lot in that. First, we liberalize visa without compromising national security. We introduced the visa on arrival system, which is e-based. You go to our website, www.immigration.gov.ng, you apply, you upload, you get approval. You come to the airport with a piece of paper and you are admitted. No human contact until you arrive at the airport. This is a contribution to, very important contribution to the ease of doing business, but without compromising security. We have introduced the new visa system called the visa, which is based on biometric. I was once an attaché in Germany, 91. At that time, we were issuing visa was just a rubber stamp endorsement. Later, immigration improved it to visa beginnet, but had no pictures at all, no biometric pictures. But now we have launched a biometric feature with a central database system, with analytical equipment, where you can review and see what happened, where you can check what happened in other missions. We have 24 locations with biometric visas today in the world, and biometric is a key for security. So you can see we have improved people who, before even they come to our territory. What have we done at the border to make Nigeria more secure? Today, go to the international airport. I'm very proud our airport is like any airport in the world. Initially, before we came on board, you come to the airport, you just scan your passport and pass. Today, we have a system called MIDAS, Migration Information Data Analysis System, which we built ourselves with the support of the United Nations agency called IOM. In that border, go to Kano Airport, go to Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, or Lagos Murtala Mohammed Airport, and see that you will be captured biometrically. So you put your fingerprint, we will capture your picture, we will also scan your document. And that border is connected to Interpol. So if you are wanted globally, we will know at the border. This is a tremendous change to national security. So when we liberalize, when Mr. President liberalized visa to be picked at the point of entry for Africans, many people shout, oh, national security. We said, no, it's even more secure. If you have to go to Addis Ababa, for example, to apply for a visa, our embassy, we don't have biometric visa in Addis Ababa, but now we give you permission to come and pick the visa at a place where we capture your biometric. It's great idea. We capture your biometric, give you a visa, also capture biometric when you are entering our territory. We have contributed to that. What have we done in terms of after entry? We realize that we have a vast border. We cannot be able to capture people when they are coming into our border. What do we do after entry control? What we have done is to ensure we do migrant e-registration. Migrant e-registration was launched by Mr. President, where migrants are expected to register after they stay for 90 days. Our minister has given us that we should make it 30 days. We are trying to see if we can have resources to make it less period for Nigerians, for foreigners who enter to go and register. By the time when you miss somebody at the border, you are able to capture his biometric after entry. And that biometric cannot be changed. I think it's a great achievement. What is important in this contribution is that our officers are doing the installation and maintenance. I'm very proud of that. We are not contractor dependent. You see our officers are going around to install this machine, to service this machine. I'm very proud of them. That is in the time in areas of foreigners, visa at point of entry and control after entry. But what to do with it in terms of Nigerians? Today, we have linked national identity number with a passport of individuals. Many people shouted, it's too hard, it's difficult, why did we do it? We cannot continue to have a country that we cannot even identify who are our citizens. It is very dangerous for one Nigerian to have different identity. You can't find him if he commits a crime. We are the people who have been able to install that integrity by encouraging other agencies to come to the one ecosystem of NIMSI, where every person who has a national identity will be the same person. As I told you, when we started, we see wonders, and we still see. We see a person who would have his passport differently, who had registered many years with NIMSI with another identity, who has driver license differently. If we are able to remove that crisis and have one person, you have that in a telephone, you have that in passport, you have that in driver license, you have that in voters card, there will be no voters crisis. Election will be perfect. People will not run away from crime. We will be able to make this country more secure. So we are the people who set the roadmap to a successful election system, which Nigeria can take if they want. A roadmap where the bank is linked to our NIN number. Your BVN is linked to NIN number, and you cannot change your identity. So for us, it's a great contribution to national security. Today we have done the greatest in terms of passport. We have lost a lot of criminals used to get multiple passports. How do they do it? It's not by getting a multiple identity. It's by beating the system. How do they beat the system? They go to police and declare their passport is lost. They get an affidavit and they come to immigration officers. Immigration officers must give them, because these are the requirements: a police report and affidavit. Today we said, no problem. You can get a new passport, but we have uploaded the lost and stolen passport into the Interpol database, which is accessible to 194 countries throughout the world. So if you said you have lost your passport, no problem, but all borders in the world and all law enforcement will know that that passport is lost. So if you use it, you'll be caught. So we have reduced not only security in our country, but threat Nigerians could pose to the global world. If you can remember, the US government put sanctions for non-resident visa. It included this. So today we have done it even better than others. Today, the Interpol lost stolen passport is connected with the database real-time online, instead of to do it manually. We are the only country in Africa that is connected real-time online to the Interpol database, and you can free to have a look at it. It's there running live. We have contributed to that. We are contributing to another form of security in terms of passport that people declare lost when they travel. We have great challenge for trafficking and smuggling of migrants abroad and criminality of Nigerians abroad. Yes, some of them will travel, they will say they have lost their passport. If they are wanted in that country, they will go and get a document called ETC, Emergency Travel Document, a piece of paper. I have done the survey by collecting ETCs from different missions. All of them are different. The one issued in London is different. The one issued even in America is different from different missions. The one issued in New York is different. The one issued in Washington, in Atlanta, they're different. Today, we have launched a new temporary passport, 4-page passport, that will enable Nigerians to return one way, and it has expired. And this will be issued based on biometric and is machine readable. So for us, we will continue to contribute to national security and ensure that these data are shared. That's why Mr. President approved this building called Technology Building. Today we have a command and control center where we can share information real time with law enforcement. This place is a mecca for law enforcement because they come to see a lot. And I'm glad to say that Nigerian Immigration Service will be one of the best security agencies that will contribute to national security in this country.
Okay. I know that one of the passion you have is to ensure that our borderland, the land border, is well manned, and we have so many unmanned border areas. How are you battling with that issue? Because some people say the terrorists and the bandits we are facing today, some of them just cross our land borders. How can you handle
this? Is true. Although I don't want automatic condemnation of migrants, I always speak to Nigerians. I say, don't transfer your problems to migrants like the way many Western world do. In the West, if you want to win election, you have to take top action against migrants, and then you win election. I don't want us to transfer all our problems. There are some good people who live with us, who do business with us, who contribute to our security, who invest a lot. I want us not to forget that. And I don't want us to forget that we have a lot of Nigerians living and doing business even in our neighborhood, who are in charge of the economy in our neighborhood, in West Africa, because liberalization means opportunity to do business, to invest. We have great Nigerian bankers across West Africa. We have traders who sell spare parts, who are in charge of business. We have great lawyers, insurance companies. We are selling a lot of our product to our neighbors. So it's not one-way issue. But also, migrants are a great threat to our country because of our borders. I'm aware of this, that a safe border is a safe nation. What are we doing in that? In addition to the border management strategy, which has timeline and activities to be achieved, we are introducing what we call forward operational bases. In addition to border control posts where people pass normally, we are introducing forward operational base. It's a base. I have commissioned 2 last year. We have 14 in numbers. It's a base well equipped. 30 officers are accommodated.
Sadly, we'll not have enough time to conclude this interview, but surely, God's willing, we'll continue with it. Next episode of this program. We'll have to leave for other programs to continue. We'll say thanks for being part of this program today. Send us your views and your questions through our social media platforms so that we can respond back to you. Until we come your way again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye for now.